What's up, Explorettes? I'm Chelsey and you're watching my channel, Chelsey Explores. Thanks so much for being here. If you're new here, welcome to my channel, and if you're a subscriber or have watched my videos before, then welcome back. And today we are going to be exploring my birth vlog. That sounds kind of weird, but I am going to be putting together like my birth vlog and just what my experience was, so I can share that with you guys and see if anyone relates, or also just for me personally, because I want to be able to look back at this someday and, I don't know, reminisce about it. I don't know if I want to reminisce. It was a painful experience, spoiler alert. So I thought I was going to take more video footage during the process, and I started out taking some footage, and then things kind of amped up and I totally forgot / was in too much pain, and so I just figured I would explain my story here and kind of insert little pieces about the day / night / 24 to 36 hours of labor and what it was like. So let's go. Looking back at the whole day and the whole process, I'm just going to start from the beginning. So the morning of Sunday, January 30th, I woke up, had my normal morning routine. I had like my eggs for breakfast, my coffee, but I decided to have a second cup of coffee. And this may be a little bit TMI, but if you're watching and want something to relate to, then maybe this relates to you. I had about 7 bowel movements that were all a little bit on the looser side, but I kind of chalked this up to having 2 cups of coffee that day, and I briefly thought about it because I was told that sometimes a symptom of going into labor is having loose stools or diarrhea. But again, I just chalked it up to having 2 cups of coffee and figured I would go on with my day. So I proceeded with my day. That morning, I just got some things done around the house, and then I attended an online conference via Zoom with, learning about content creation and how I can make better videos and photos for you guys. And so that was from, I believe, around like 11 a.m. to 1:30 or 2 p.m. During that time, my stomach just felt a little bit unsettled, and I was having some random like back pains, maybe some slight tightening of the abdomen, but I didn't think much about it. Again, I was sitting in this exact chair and I was like, I've been sitting for a couple hours. It's probably just the fact that I'm 9 months pregnant and sitting, that my back is hurting and everything just kind of aches. So I went on with my day. Dan headed out to a friend's to watch a football game, so he headed out around 3-ish to watch that football game, and I decided to go on my daily walk. If you haven't watched my video on things I did during pregnancy to hopefully induce a natural birth and have an unmedicated natural labor, you can watch that video here. I will link it above. But one of those things was going on daily walks, trying to get between 8,000 and 10,000 steps. So I decided to go on my daily walk, and here we are to the vlog of what I just said about that time. All right, so it's Sunday, January 30th. I just got back from a walk, trying to still get my 8,000 steps a day, but I don't know. I feel like some things are happening. So here, I'm gonna set you down here. So some things are just like tightening up. I'm having a lot of back pain. It feels like my back is tightening up, my lower abdomen's tightening up. It feels different than what I've been feeling. Like things are a little more painful. I was still able to walk through it. So definitely nothing like I can't breathe through it, but something feels different. But so I'm just gonna unload the dishwasher, make some food, eat some chicken, and drink a lot of water, and then hopefully rest, because who knows if this is the real thing. I just figured I'd start documenting when things feel different. Little update, it's about 6:30 now, and Just cuddling with Mocha over here. Not much is going on, I would say. Maybe something's happening like every 20 to 30 minutes. I have pooped a few more times. But just resting on the couch, getting a little bit of work done. So I don't know. We'll see. So as you can see, I went on my walk and some things started picking up a little bit. Again, I had no idea what to expect. These symptoms felt very different than my normal back pain that I was having during pregnancy and just my normal back pain that I normally have on a day-to-day basis due to my scoliosis and previous back surgeries. But I was very hesitant to believe that this was the beginning of labor just because I didn't want to psych myself up or anything like that. So Dan was still at his football game at a friend's house out in Poway. I texted him around 6 p.m. and said, hey, some things are happening. I'm not really sure what they are. You don't need to rush home, but just a heads up, maybe keep your phone on you. Dan did end up coming home fairly shortly after that. I found out later that he was like, I think that's a sign for me to go home. So he came home. I think he got home around 7 or 7:30 p.m. And I told him what was going on, and after a lot of research, looking at the Facebook group that I'm in and just trying to figure out whether this was labor or not and what we should do, we came to the conclusion that I should just rest and really try to get some sleep before anything big might happen. I was informed that I could take Tylenol PM or Benadryl or just something to help me get some sleep, so I decided to take some Benadryl around 8 p.m. and in hopes to get some rest before a potentially big night or potentially big day, and who knows how long or how many hours ahead I had. So we laid down in bed around 8:30. The Benadryl wasn't really kicking in, but as you will see, I am laying in bed at 8:30 with my pregnancy pillow, and then we'll see what happens next.
Give us an update. How are you feeling?
Decent. Got my pregnancy pillow.
Oh, nice.
I'm trying to sleep. Just took some Benadryl. I don't know why that helps. As you can see, I was feeling semi-decent going to bed around 8:30. However, at 9:30, things really started picking up. I could not sleep. I tried to lay in bed and things were just extremely uncomfortable. So I decided to move to the couch and try not to wake up Dan and just let him rest in case this was it. Then at least one of us would have some sleep. So I moved to the couch in our living room and essentially, I guess you can call it labored through the night. So I was out there by myself and starting to time things by myself. What it looked like was I would lay on the couch and about every 10 to 15 minutes I would get this intense pain right in my lower back. It would just cramp up. I could not move. Nothing felt comfortable, like laying on my side didn't feel comfortable, laying on my back. Nothing laying down on my back felt comfortable. So I would literally like jolt off the couch and get down on the ground and go onto all fours and lean against the couch here. I would just rock back and forth trying to get the pain to stop. They were pretty consistently between 10 to 15 minutes from, I'd say, around 9:30 p.m. to maybe like 2:30 a.m. and then they started getting to be down to every 8 minutes, and the pain was increasing a little bit. During the night, I tried to use a lacrosse ball to lay on. I tried heat packs, which actually really helped. I would heat it up and just lay on it. I tried putting Tiger Balm on my back, and all these things definitely helped the pain. I was able to get through it by myself for a long time until eventually at 4:30 a.m. I decided to tap on Dan in his comfortable little sleep and said, I need your help. I can't get through these without your help. We didn't really know how Dan could help me. I just said, try these different things. I had him massaging my lower back. All the pain was in my lower back. I really did not feel anything in the front other than at the very beginning when I was on that walk and kind of sitting in my desk chair. A few times things tightened up down here, But it ultimately went away and everything was in my lower back. It just felt like my entire back and spine and pelvis was being crunched and smushed, and it was painful. It was really painful. So I woke Dan up at 4:30. We really didn't get much footage during the night. He got some footage of Moko, him and Moko hanging out.
Okay, you doing good? Good girl.
And then we worked ourselves up to the morning. So we ended up texting our doula around, I think, like 7 a.m. I'd have to look at Dan's phone for the exact time. But I remember at 5 a.m. we were still like, I don't know if this is the real thing. It's 8 to 10 minutes apart. The pain, the contractions are lasting like 30 seconds and they don't seem to be increasing. So we kept Googling all these things and everything's like, this is false labor. And I was like, this is gonna really suck if this is false labor because I don't wanna do this again. Looking back at it now, it definitely wasn't false labor. It was the real thing. But anyways, at 5 a.m. we were like, let's just wait a little bit to text the doula because we're not sure if this is the real thing. And then at 6 we were like, okay, let's text her at 7 because things were just increasingly getting worse. And then at 7, or I think at 6:30 or something, I'm not sure what time we texted her, but anyways, we texted her earlier than we had planned. We were trying to kind of just push it off and be like, this probably isn't it. This probably isn't it. And we probably should have called or texted her sooner, but it is what it is.
Alright, what's going on, Chels?
Well, right now we don't know if this is fake or real, but it's been 12 hours.
Yeah, when did it start?
Really started at 8 p.m. Didn't get an ounce of sleep. And it's just not fun. It's not fun.
What time is it now?
8 a.m. It's been 12 hours. Messaged our doula, and it's a lot of back pain. But we're doing good.
Nice. How long are contractions?
I don't know. Not long enough, I don't think. I don't think we're making progress.
Yeah.
Trying different things, but
Right now we don't know whether it's false labor or true labor.
yeah, we're hoping it's true labor because I don't want to go through this again.
Sure.
Welcome.
Uncle's doing well. Uncle's sniffing the puke bucket just in case we need it. Yeah, give us a wave.
Okay, so as you can see, I was sitting on the birth ball trying to rock back and forth. What we were reading is that if you're having a ton of back labor, and all the research that I had previously done means that the baby is sunny side up, and we wanted to try to get him in the right position to relieve that back pain. Some of those things were doing exercises on the exercise ball, like pelvic rocks and hip circles. So we were trying that. As you could see in the video, I did have a puke bucket because I was starting to feel very nauseous at this point. So anyways, at this point, our doula, Dan was texting back and forth with our doula. I really couldn't look at the phone just because I needed to focus, especially during the contractions. I was at the point of needing to really focus on breathing and just focus on, I guess, not thinking about the pain during the contractions. So I just could not be on my phone. But our doula texted us and told us to try to get into the chiropractor because they could potentially flip the baby as well as relieve some of my pain. So Dan told me that, and I thought that was the craziest thing I had ever heard. I had no idea how I was going to get into the car and get to the chiropractor, which is about a 12-minute drive away. That literally sounded like the worst experience ever, but somehow Dan convinced me to go to the chiropractor. So let's see.
Chels, where did we just come out of? What? What were we doing there?
Making me feel better.
Yeah, did it help?
Yeah, she was good at that. I need to learn that.
Nice. Are you glad you came?
Yeah.
Alright, good vibrations. Finally, chiropractor, everyone. Alright, I assume we head back home.
Whatever she did, that squeeze felt good. Whatever, however she did it, it relieved all the pressure.
Alright, say bye, Chelsey.
So miraculously, somehow we made it to the chiropractor, and I was gonna say that was the worst drive of my life, but that wasn't, because the worst drive of my life was the ride to the hospital. But the chiropractor honestly was incredible, and I'm so glad that I went, because she did some hip squeezes. She literally pushed on my hips during a contraction, as well on just pressed on my back, on my lower sacrum area, all at the same time, and it immediately relieved the pressure. And it was so good to just not have pain through one of the contractions, just to have that relief. But the best part of it all was that Dan learned a technique to help me get through labor, and I don't know if I would have been able to make it the next couple of hours without him having learned what he did learn at that chiropractor visit. So although it was absolutely terrible riding to the chiropractor, I would say in the end it was definitely worth it. Contractions at this point I think were every 6 minutes or so, and it was miserable getting to the chiropractor, and I was crying through it, but definitely worth it. On that car ride home, I had to sit in the back of the car. I was kind of leaned up against the back seat and on my knees, because there was absolutely no way I could sit on my butt. I made Dan pull over and do the hip squeeze. We pulled over on the side of the road, and he got out of the car with the car running and just squeezed my hips while I was in the back seat to make it through a contraction. We probably looked like freaks. Whatever, it helped. Also on that car ride, I told Dan, I was like, there's no way you can drive me or us to the hospital. Like, you have to find someone to drive us. Our original plan was to have Dan drive us to the hospital. We had packed up the car and everything when I was feeling a little bit better earlier, and I said, that's absolutely not gonna happen. I need you in the back seat with me to help me get through these contractions. I don't care who you text or who you call, but you need to find someone to take us to the hospital, and you have to sit in the back with me. So Dan ultimately texted my mom, and she rushed down. Thank God for a wonderful mom. She rushed down and helped us eventually get to the hospital. And if you are looking to have a natural birth or just feel better during your pregnancy, I do recommend seeing a chiropractor, someone who specializes in the Webster technique, because they can try to get baby in right position. Okay, so we got home from the chiropractor around 10 or 10:15 or so, and things really just amped up and got pretty intense. You'll see I'm crying in this video here. I was crying through the contractions, and at this point I was kind of like saying, Dan, let's go to the hospital, I want to go. But he knew I wanted to try to have an unmedicated birth, and he was texting with our doula, and basically they were saying, it's not time to go yet, it's not time to go yet. At this point, contractions were about 5 minutes apart and lasting around 45 seconds or so. So we tried some of that hip squeeze technique and pushing on my sacrum bone for a long time at home, and around 12 o'clock, I think, the timeline gets a little blurry, but I think around 12 o'clock we decided to try some hot water. So I got in the shower, and basically I was on all fours in the shower. I used a knee pad because my knees were killing me, and I had the shower head running down on my lower back because, again, that's where all the pain was. And then Dan got in the shower with me and was just, every time a contraction came, squeezing my hips together and pushing on my sacrum bone to help just relieve all that pressure. During this time, contractions just kept picking up to the point of where they got to like 3 minutes apart and were lasting about 50 seconds. I was bawling in pain. If you ask Dan, I was literally begging him to take me to the hospital. Begging. It was honestly the worst thing ever. He was texting my mom and was like, you need to come now. We need, like, she needs your help. And I knew that having my mom there would just help me. I just think I needed someone to relate to. Dan didn't quite know, like, or could feel what I was going through, and I knew my mom would. And I knew my mom would also be able to get us to the hospital because Dan was still saying, no, not yet, not yet, which is not his fault. So my mom comes, and we weren't recording anything at this time. There was literally no way we could have. The contractions really were starting to come like one on top of each other, and if Dan left me for any second, it was just unbearable. He went outside one time to get something, and I had a contraction during that time, and I think I was screaming, and it was just so painful. I needed him there through everything. So definitely make sure to have a support person who can help you, and make sure to have someone who can drive you to the hospital if you can't have your support person do that yourself or themselves, because they are helping you get through the pain. My mom arrived around 1:30, I believe, and essentially I was like begging my mom, please take me to the hospital. And thankfully my mom saw how much pain I was in. She saw, well, what she said in her words were I looked as white as a ghost and extremely pale, and she was like, it's time to go to the hospital. At this point, I was still in the shower. I felt extremely nauseous. I felt like I was gonna pass out during the contractions. I was trying to focus on my breathing, but it was so hard. Again, all just back pain. And I have no idea what it feels like to have a contraction in the front. I have heard back pain is a lot worse than having, or back labor is a lot worse than having pain in the front, but to anyone that goes through labor, props to you, because it is an experience. And yeah, but I would never wish back labor upon anyone. And there are some things I'm gonna do next time around getting pregnant to hopefully avoid having baby be sunny side up, because it's not fun. My mom takes us to the hospital. Our house is about 30 minutes from the hospital, and that was the worst car ride of my life. Dan was in the back seat with me. It was probably a sight to be seen. I was on all fours. My mom was driving, and Dan was like sitting on my back. And that was the fastest we've ever gotten to the hospital. Thankfully, my mom drove so fast, and we got there in about 15 minutes, and it was the longest drive of my life, but I'm so glad it only took 15 minutes. So we arrived to the hospital having contractions this entire time. We get to the labor and delivery floor, and they give me one look, and they're like, you look like you're in a lot of pain. We need to get you back to your room and get you checked. So they get me back to a room, and by this point, I essentially am like, I'm getting an epidural. I can't do this. My biggest fear was that I would arrive at the hospital and they'd say, oh, you're only 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters dilated. And yeah, that was my biggest fear. Looking back at it now, I was like, there's no way I could be, but I was afraid that's what it was gonna be. And when I arrived and they checked me right away, I was 6 centimeters. The pain increasingly got worse. They checked me about 10 minutes later, so this is around 2:30 p.m. And about 10 minutes later, I was 7 centimeters and begging for the epidural. They told me they had to get some blood work done and IV done and stuff before the anesthesiologist could come in and give me the epidural. And then they told me that I had to sit still for 10 minutes while getting the epidural. I had absolutely no idea how I was going to be able to do that, because I had needed to stand or be on all fours in order to get through the pain. And they told me I had to be completely still. So I was super anxious about that. So long story short, because this is getting really long, the anesthesiologist came. Things were getting even worse. I was really feeling nauseous. And things were progressing fast. They did not check me again, but I personally believe I was at 8 centimeters when I got the epidural, because I started getting the shakes, like uncontrollable shakes. I wasn't cold, I just could not stop shaking. And from my research and the course I did, they said that when the shakes occur, that is you going through transition, essentially from the active labor stage of like 3 centimeters to 7 centimeters, transitioning to 7 centimeters to 8 centimeters. And it's like a big jump right before you are about to push at that 10 centimeter mark. So I got the shakes, and so I'm convinced that I was 8 centimeters when I officially got the epidural. Sitting still was the hardest thing to do, getting the epidural, but after I got the epidural, it took about 10 minutes for them to do it, and then 10 minutes for it to kick in. I was in heaven, and I do not regret in one way or another getting the epidural, even though I wanted to have a natural birth. Let's see how I felt after getting that poke in the back.
Hey Chelsey, how we doing?
Maybe pause your music. Feeling a lot better.
Why is that?
We got to the hospital and got checked, and we were at, what, 7 centimeters?
6.
6, but quickly progressed to 7. And it was painful. So I had to get the epidural, but that's okay. Proud of the 7 that I did.
Yeah. Good job, Chelsey.
As you can see, I got the epidural and life was glorious. I do not regret it. I am so proud of what I did and how far I got without the epidural, and I'm just proud of what I did, and I really told myself that I don't want to have any regrets if that is what I chose to get in the end. I was hoping for an unmedicated birth, and honestly, I will try again the next time I give birth. However, if I start to have back labor, I think I'm just gonna say whatever, give me the epidural, because not worth it. The epidural is honestly amazing. Around 3 o'clock, I got the epidural, and then they checked me again between 3 and 4 p.m. They checked me a few times, and by the time 4 p.m. hit, I was a full 10 centimeters, and essentially they told me I was ready to push and could push whenever I wanted to. The hospital was super great. They did not force me to push at that moment. They said, whenever you feel like you're ready and you feel like your body is telling you it's time to push, press the call button, I'll come in and we'll start pushing. And that's what my nurse told me, and I was so thankful for that, because at 4 p.m. I didn't really feel like I needed to push. I was able to feel my legs still with the epidural and pick them up. They felt numb and felt silly, but I was still able to move them. I still felt some pressure down there, but I was not able to feel any contractions, which was amazing. My back felt great. And anyway, so I was like, okay, well, I don't really feel a sensation to push yet, so I'm gonna try to get a nap in and wash my face and do some other things.
Hey guys.
Okay,
Here from the hospital room.
now we're just waiting to push. And Dan took a little nap. You feel better?
I feel great. How do you feel is the question.
Feeling good. Got Kim here. Hi.
Oh, we have video?
Video.
Oh.
That's my thing right now. But gotta look good. First
Don't want to scare the
impression.
baby?
Yeah, don't want him to be afraid of this monster he's looking at. Tired-eyed freak.
Yeah,
No
freshen
sleep.
up.
It's his fault.
It truly is.
So
Nice. First impressions, right? I look good.
yeah, you brought your suit, right?
Yeah, I got on press.
Okay.
Turn off?
I decided to put on some makeup, and I was feeling great. I basically watched the clock and was like, okay, I'm gonna push at 5. I was feeling some sensations of like, I could push, but I decided, let me get a little nap, let me wash my face, feel a little refreshed, put some makeup on. That's normally not like me, but I was like, whatever, I'm feeling good. Why not put some makeup on? So that's what I did. They said essentially, like, they weren't gonna force me to push, but they were like, we could sit here all night since you have the epidural and you might never feel that extreme urge to push. So if you're feeling something, let us know, which I did at 5 p.m. I called the nurses in, and I essentially was like, I feel like I could push. My biggest fear is tearing, so let's try to avoid that. And so around 5 p.m.,
got this, Chelsey. Good job. Okay, we rest in between.
So let's take your Foley catheter out.
He's literally good. Okay, blow it out if you don't have it till 10. And remember, breathe it in again quick.
And go.
And go.
1,
Good job, Charles.
Hold that breath. Hold that
3,
breath. Down in your
4,
bottom. Down
keep
in your
going,
bottom.
5,
Good,
6,
good, good.
7, 8.
Good job. Okay,
One more
take a
time.
deep breath in. Remember,
Good
go
job,
quick.
Charles.
And go. Down in your bottom. All the way down. All the way down.
3,
There we go.
4,
Good, good,
Good job, Charles. Good job.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And relax until the next one.
Pushing overall wasn't that painful or that difficult, I would say. It was confusing at first. I didn't quite know what to do, so they had to coach me through it, but my doula, the doctor, and my nurse were all wonderful at pushing me, or at coaching me through what to do. Thankfully, I only had a first-degree tear. I made that very clear to them that that was a big fear of mine. Pushing's just weird in general. The only painful part, I would say, was the last like 15 minutes in that very end. But overall, it really wasn't that bad. I pushed for about an hour and a half, and then we had our sweet baby boy.
All right, we did it. We're a family. Just missing
Day 1 in the books.
Moko, but we get to see her soon. So things went well. Pushing took what, an hour and a half maybe? I think an hour and a half. It was painful. Wasn't fun, but wasn't as painful as back labor. And now our little well, yeah, that's true. And now our little boy is here. 7 pounds, 19 inches. This is our room. And has a little bed set up. Landon has his bed. There's Landon and Dad. Sweet little one. And I'm in bed. And we're all about to go to sleep because we are tired. Night.
I had a beautiful sunset, which is like my San Diego dream and my dream of anywhere I travel to have a beautiful sunset. And I got to have that during my labor, so that was definitely a bonus. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is the story of my birth. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to ask any questions below in the comments section. I would be happy to answer them. Anything and everything is great. And I did film some more footage of our second day in the hospital, but I figured that's probably pretty boring, so I'm not going to include that here, as this video is probably already too long. Anyways, we'll see you next week on Chelsey Explores for another fun video, and thanks for watching.